Atlanta gave NASCAR one of those races that keeps creating storylines long after the checkered flag. Tyler Reddick left with the trophy, but by Monday, the bigger conversation was everything surrounding Carson Hocevar: the comeback drive, the overtime contact, the apologies, and then Kevin Harvick delivering the bluntest warning yet. So this is really the full Atlanta fallout story. Tyler Reddick's unlikely win with a damaged car, Carson Hocevar's controversial fourth-place finish, what Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell had to say after racing around him, and why Harvick thinks somebody in the Cup garage may eventually decide to send Hocevar a message the hard way. Start with the winner, because even Harvick sounded stunned by what Tyler Reddick pulled off. Reddick survived heavy damage, lost the right front fender, still drove back to the front, and won in double overtime. That gave him back-to-back wins to open 2026, and it's the kind of start that immediately changes the tone of a season. Harvick's reaction was simple. He could not believe a car that torn up still looked quick enough to win. He said he had no fender at the end. He wound up winning the race, and his car looked like it was actually faster than what it was early in the race. That says a lot about modern Atlanta. Echo Park Speedway is now a place where damage doesn't always end your day. If you can still stay in the draft, still get pushes, and still keep track position, you can survive a lot more than you used to. Harvick also pointed out that this is exactly what Atlanta does. It creates uncomfortable moments, high attrition, and late race chaos, where one block or one move changes everything. That's exactly what happened in the closing laps, because Bubba Wallace tried to throw the late block, got too high, and suddenly the middle lane opened. Harvick summed it up perfectly when talking about racing around Carson Hocevar. When you're racing Carson Hocevar, he's going to go where you're not. We saw this throughout the night. That one line is the bridge between Reddick's win and Hocevar's controversy. Because while Reddick took advantage and closed the deal, Hocevar was once again right in the middle of the biggest moment, fast enough to matter, aggressive enough to change the race, and controversial enough that half the garage left Atlanta talking about him instead of the winner. On paper, Hocevar's day was outstanding. He finished fourth, and after 2 races, he sits fourth in the standings. That is not a fluke. He also had to fight back after going 2 laps down early, which makes the result even more impressive. This wasn't some clean ride to a top 5. This was a hard recovery on a track where one mistake usually snowballs into a terrible finish. But what makes Hocevar such a lightning rod is that even when the result is strong, the way he gets there tends to leave people irritated. The biggest flashpoint came on the first overtime restart. Hocevar lined up behind Christopher Bell, saw a gap between Bell and Bubba Wallace, and tried to force his way through it. The move put Bell in the wall and ended Bell's shot at the win. That is the moment that changed the whole post-race conversation. Bell didn't come out screaming, and he didn't throw out some dramatic accusation, but he said enough to show exactly where Hocevar's reputation stands. Bell said, "I haven't seen it, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut till I see a replay." That sounds calm enough, but the more revealing line came when he referenced the pre-restart communication. That's what he communicated to me, but you never expect anything, especially from him. That is not a rules complaint. That is a trust complaint. Bell is basically saying, with Hocevar, you cannot assume the restart will play out how he said it would. And that's really the biggest issue around Hocevar right now. It's not that he lacks speed. It's not that people think he doesn't belong. It's that the drivers around him feel like they always have to brace for the biggest possible move. Hocevar, to his credit, did not dodge any of it after the race. He did not pretend nothing happened. He was brutally honest about both the move and the finish. First, he explained the move itself in the simplest possible way. I mean, I fit a car in there. Then he added that he got such a big run that what looked open when he committed probably closed by the time he actually got there. He admitted he didn't mean to tear anybody up, but he also made it clear that when he sees an opportunity in a moment like that, he is going to take it. And that mindset is exactly why this story keeps growing, because Hocevar isn't acting confused about why these incidents happen. He is openly saying he makes those decisions because he believes that is how you win. He also admitted something else after Atlanta, that he still didn't finish the job. Even with the strong comeback and 4th place finish, Hocevar looked at the race as a missed opportunity, not a success. His words were simple and brutal. I mean, I choked. That line tells you how he sees himself right now. He knows he is close. He knows the speed is there. He knows he keeps putting himself in race-deciding moments. But he also knows he still hasn't sealed the first Cup win. He tried to balance that frustration with some perspective, saying Atlanta was still much better than Daytona. We finished single digits, top 5. Better result than last week. So excited about that. Came from 2 laps down and knocked around a little bit to finish 4th, so happy about that. That's the exact Hocevar story right now. A driver who can walk away from 4th feeling both proud and disappointed at the same time. Then came the Ryan Blaney part of the fallout, and this is where the story gets more interesting because it shows Hocevar is at least trying to manage the damage afterward. Blaney revealed that Hocevar texted him after the race because Blaney felt Hocevar had run him into the fence more than once. Blaney said, "He did text me last night. He ran me into the fence a couple times last night and he apologized, which was the first time I've ever gotten a message from him." That is a meaningful detail because in NASCAR, contact happens all the time, but what drivers remember is whether you act like it matters. Hocevar reaching out shows he knows some of these moments are crossing into territory where he needs to smooth things over if he wants to keep racing around these same guys every week. Blaney didn't just accept it politely, he actually made a point of saying the apology mattered. He said, "That's appreciated. That goes further than you know. That's all it takes is just a reach out." And then he made it clear that issue was resolved. "I accept your apology and we're fine." That's the kind of exchange that can keep one race from turning into a season-long feud. Still, Blaney also gave the same warning other veterans are now giving. Hocevar is talented, but there is a clear difference between aggressive and reckless. And if he cleans up the reckless moments, he's going to become a major problem for the whole field in the best possible way. As a true weekly contender, Hocevar himself admitted Blaney had every right to be annoyed, saying his car was tight and that he probably owed Blaney an apology because he thought he ran them both into the wall. So this is not a case of Hocevar being clueless. He understands when he upsets people. The real question is whether he can stop doing it in the moments that matter most. And that brings us to Kevin Harvick, because this is where the fallout stops being young driver learning and starts sounding like a serious garage warning. Harvick made it crystal clear that he understands exactly how Hocevar races. He said Hocevar will plug any hole he sees, make races 3 wide or even 4 wide, and if the middle opens, he is going to go for it. Harvick said, "I feel like Carson is going to take a run. He's going to plug a hole every chance that he gets. He's going to put you 3 wide. He's possibly going to put you 4 wide." And unlike some critics, Harvick was careful to say he does not believe Hocevar is technically doing anything illegal. "I don't think he's doing anything wrong. I think he's racing aggressively." That part matters. Harvick is not saying NASCAR should penalize him. He is saying something more old school than that. If you keep putting drivers in bad spots over and over again, someone in the field will eventually decide to answer you the same way. His exact warning was, "When you put people in bad positions over and over and over, eventually somebody is going to take that method and make sure that they send that message." And then came the quote that turned this into a major headline. Harvick was asked how he would handle it if he were still racing against Hocevar every week, and he did not soften the answer at all. "I think the way I would approach it is I'd probably wreck him the first chance I got. I mean, if it was me, I would." That is the strongest public warning anyone has given Hocevar yet. Not because Harvick is literally ordering someone to go do it, but because he's explaining how a lot of veteran racers think. If NASCAR isn't stepping in and the same driver keeps forcing the issue, eventually the garage polices it. Harvick also talked about who could actually be the driver to do it. He mentioned Kyle Busch as an obvious possibility, because Busch has been critical of Hocevar, but he also said there's one major issue. The driver who sends the message has to actually be around Hocevar at the front of the race often enough to do it. That's what makes this also important. Hocevar is not running mid-pack. He is showing up in the exact spots where these grudges matter most. He is racing around the guys who can influence outcomes, and he is building a reputation in real time. So after Atlanta, the situation around Hocevar is both promising and dangerous. Promising because the speed is real, the results are real, and he is clearly close to finally winning one. Dangerous because every week he races like this, he makes it harder to expect cooperation, forgiveness, or even neutral treatment from the same drivers he has to beat. Now I want to hear from you. Did Kevin Harvick go too far, or is he saying what a lot of drivers are already thinking about Carson Hocevar? Drop your take in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, help us keep growing. Like this video, subscribe to NASCAR Central, and share it with one NASCAR fan. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers and 100 likes on this video, and every bit of support helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.